welcome to this new series on creating games using a platform called arcade.makecode.com. So we're going to be hopefully making a little 2D adventure game today. So let's get started and let's see what our first task is today. So first thing we need to do is we're going to head over to arcade.makecode.com. So I'm just going to swipe over to there now. So we're going to create a new project. Okay, so let's see what they want us to do. So yeah, you head over to new project and I'm just going to call it 30-second game. So I'm just going to call it we're going to go back and we're going to call it 2D maze game. Okay. So during this series, we're going to learn a bit more about programming. We're going to learn about variables. We're going to learn about loops, selection, sequence, these key terms that you need to know if you want to do some computer programming. Okay. So we're going to be using the block-based system in this project, but you can use Python, JavaScript, lots of different ones, and I hope to add that to the series as I go along as well. You can also buy some hardware that will go along with this, and that is probably what I'll do next. But for this, you just need the emulator will work here. So I'm just going to bring you through the different area here. So we have our display, we have our online simulator, we have our design canvas, and for download for later, for example, we can download this piece of code and we can use it. So that is our online simulator here. And then we have our block menu. And then we have our design canvas. And then we have our download button, because we can actually download this onto a physical piece of hardware. Haven't got one just yet, but I have one ordered and I hope to get one very soon. Okay. Okay, so then we have, of course, undo and redo buttons. Okay, so a new term we're going to learn today, it's called sprite. So a sprite is a two-dimensional image that is integrated into a larger screen and is often used in 2D video games. A lot of these games are used, we would call them retro games now, but they start off things like Mario and even Zelda, for example, have started off as little sprites. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a set my sprite block, and we're going to drag it into the start here. So let's do that. So let's have a look. It's in the red blocks, so it must be in sprites up the top here. There it is, sprites. And we're going to set my sprite here. Okay. And we're going to choose a player to set our sprite to. Okay. And we're going to be introduced to this term, a variable. So it's going to be stored somewhere. So for example, if you have a score, you want to store it in your game, and you want to keep track of your score. That's what we would call a variable, somewhere where you can put something and it should have some sort of meaningful name. So for this example, score equals score plus 1. So that means whatever score is, you want to add 1 to it. Okay, so then it keeps a running total of it to make it easier to read. Okay. So we're going to name our first variable here, and this one's going to be called my sprite. We're going to change it to hero. Okay, so we're going to have a little hero person here. So we're going to do my sprite, and we're going to rename the variable, and we're going to call it hero, Hero. And you can see it's a capital H. That's important because we need to know that for later. And we're just going to press OK on that. All right. Next, we're going to choose our sprite. Okay, so you can see here what's happening, and we can go to the gallery, pick up our sprite here, and you can choose the character from your sprite here. Okay, so I'm going to go do that then. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to go to gallery, and I'm going to go choose. So I think this was the one they chose there. You can even customize them here too. You can just like a little sprite editor, but I'm going to leave it as is for now and press done. Okay. So that's the first part. Let's see what's next. Actually, he had a little character there, so let me just check because we chose the right one. Gallery, I think they chose this one actually. There it is, that one. Okay, and press done on that. Okay, so let's have a look what's next then. And here, let's do it. So we're going to set the background color. So we're going to go find the block for scene here. And we're going to do set background color. And we're going to choose our background color. And in this case, set the background color. We're going to choose green in this one. There we go. It should pop up here on our device here. There we go. There's our sprite, our little hero. And we're going to set, grab the move my sprite with the button, so we can choose to move our sprite to set it with the button. So we're going to say controller, move my sprite with the buttons. Okay. So that should work then. So now, if I go back to here, I should be able to use this. And of course, this is not correct here. It should be hero for this one. It should be correct. Make sure it's set to hero. Yep, you can see the exclamation mark went away then. And you can see now I can move my sprite here. And you can see actually what's happened there. My sprite has gone off the side. No, we don't want that to happen. You can also use the keys on your keyboard. W, A, S, and D. If you are a big gamer, you will know these very well. Or you can use the arrows on the other side, and that will also make it move around as well. Okay. So next thing we want to do then is to get the sprite to stay on the screen, get our hero so it doesn't fall off the screen. So we're going to do that then. So we're going to grab that from sprites up here. I'm going to grab that, and where is it here? Let's see where they had it. Effects is under effects then. So we'll go to sprite, physics, effects. So there it is, set sprite to stay on screen. I'm going to put that in there, make sure that's set to on. And make sure we choose hero, of course, because that's what our sprite is called. It's called hero, that's our variable. And that's what's going to be storing it there, okay? Right, let's see what we need to do next then. So now, if I play the game, here you'll see if I go to the edge of the screen, it'll also stay on the screen here. Okay, so it won't disappear off the screen. You can also make this full screen if you want to have a bigger look at it. And we can see our little game is working very well already. Press here to go back to the coder. We can see it working. Okay. So let's see what's next then. Can't grab the set sprite in kind of block and change the name to hamburger, change the kind to food. By default our hamburger sprite appears in the center of the screen. Okay, so we're going to do that next then. So set hamburger to sprite. So we're going to find the sprite, the set to sprite block again, and we're going to go to here. I'm going to add that to just after this block here. So we're going to set sprite here, drop it in there, and we're going to make a new, we can just rename this one actually, we can just say it hamburger. Yeah, press OK. We're going to find the hamburger from the gallery, and there's one there. Actually, we can probably pick up the other one, it looks better I think. Done. And we're going to change it to a food. So there we go, it should pop up here then. By default it pops up in the middle of the screen there. Actually I wonder if I pick one of the other ones, just maybe smaller actually. Yeah, the other one I think smaller, yeah, that's more like what we need. So choose the other one for that one. And we want to go next then, we want to see, okay, change it to hamburger. So we want to set the position to 0, 0. So this is the X and Y coordinates of our screen. Of course, X and Y coordinates here. So X represents the pixels on the screen. So it's 0 to 160 across the X, and of course 0 to 120 in the Y axis. Okay, so here, a parameter is a value. So there's another new key term there. So a parameter is when we pass something inside a block. We use this in functions as well. And what we call these a parameter, or sometimes we call them as an argument. And basically it gives it some information that it can work on to use inside its block of code. Okay. So for this one, we're going to set the position of the hamburger to 30 by 18. So that means it'll appear in this part of the screen, basically. Okay. So let's do that, because X is 30, Y is 18. So we're going to set position. So we're going to go to set position. Let's see, there it is, sets X and Y position here. It's going to be 30, you can see it there, and we can see it's 18, and that should appear then in the right place. Right, that's done, and of course it needs to be on hamburger, of course, not just my sprite. There we go. So now we have a hamburger, but nothing happens just yet, it just sits there. Okay, so we have a little game moving around, but we haven't got anything just working quite yet. Okay, so we're going to have an event then. So what happens is we need we've got some inputs going into our computer. We've got some output, and an event is when something happens that we want the program to when it takes an action based on some other sort of form of input into the game. And that's what the basis is of every computer system. It has an input, it has a process, and then an output. And that's the basics of everything, from watching YouTube videos to playing games. All events and all the things in a computer system is what we call a process, or a computing process is input, process, and then output. Okay, so an event is an action or occurrence detected by a program. Events can be used like by clicking on a button, or when sprites overlap. So in this case, we're going to wait what happens is whenever our character overlaps the burger character or the burger item, then something's going to happen. Okay, so for the next part then we need to whenever our player goes over our hamburger, we need to eat our hamburger, basically. So we need to destroy the hamburger. So when a sprite, this is a sprite of kind player, this is the player, overlaps another sprite that is of kind food, so this is a hamburger, it should destroy the other sprite. Okay, so let's see, does that work then? We're going to grab the sprites, and we need to go to overlap. I'm going to drop that in there. And we just need to change this side here to food. And then we're going to go to sprites again, and we're going to say effects, and it's going to be destroy my sprite. Okay, and it's not going to be, it's going to be other sprites. We need to have here new variable, and it's going to be other, capital sprite, S for sprite, and then okay. So now whenever we move, it should destroy the burger there. Okay, so that finishes today's lesson. So see, can you get it to produce some more burgers maybe? Another one you could do is, could you get it to randomly put this in a different place? Okay, so instead of having it in the same place each time, so you can see now every time I go up, it is in the same place. You can use the maths, there's a couple of random, if you put random in here, it should then choose two different places. Okay, so that's the end of today's lesson. And okay, so if you finished everything today, you should try some of the extension task. And for this one, all I want you to do is go to MakeCode or arcade.makecode.com, and there's lots of different things you can try out down here. There's some skill maps, there's some next level. You could even try to do some of the tutorials. So for example, you could try this one, for example, here. And you can also try to do it in Python if you're feeling more confident. Of course, you can still do it in blocks or JavaScript, but you can choose some of that for your extension task for today.